We got nighttime spooks. Make sure I get a video a thumbs up. You know what I'm saying? Also, I have a second channel in the description down below. Make sure y'all go check that out. If y'all want music video, I know y'all be wanting, some of y'all be wanting music videos. It's over there now, bro. I ain't gonna cap. But hopefully everybody was safe for the 4th of July. Make sure y'all give me a thumbs up. Make sure y'all comment. Make sure y'all go in the description. Check out my social medias for course videos, and also check it in the description down below for my second channel. My reaction channel. I'm my music reaction channel.
Years ago on my 10th birthday. At the time, I shared a bedroom with my older sister, who was 16 at the time. Our room had two full-size metal frame beds, and we had lost the covering on the bottom of the legs. I was excited to have a big birthday party, so I woke up early to inflate all my balloons, and I scattered them all over our bedroom floor. The day became cold and rainy though, so my parents decided to cancel my birthday party. 10-year-old me was so angry. My parents suggested having a nice dinner at home and watching movies. I have always been the slowest eater in the family, so while I finished my dinner, they began the movie. My sister got into an argument with my mom and stormed off to the bathroom upstairs. I can't recall what it was about since I was enjoying my food. All I heard was my mom yelling at my sister in Spanish, saying a phrase that basically means the devil is going to see you because of how you are behaving. When I finished, I decided it was time to sleep since I was still mad that my parents canceled my party. I went to my room and got comfy in my bed. Until now, game changer. They have a wire trimming head that's universal. It's going to fit any weed eater. They have different size leaves on it. While my sister wasn't in the room yet, as she was still in the bathroom. As I drifted off to sleep, I heard a balloon pop. It woke me up, but I didn't place much thought into it. Then I heard pop, 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 pop. All my balloons were popping. My bed began to shift slowly forward and then really hard back to the wall. I was screaming my head off, calling for my mom. I was too scared to jump off and run to the door. I screamed for what seemed like forever until finally my mom ran into the room and turned on the lights. I could see all the balloons that were popped were only around my bed. I told her exactly what happened, and she told me to sleep in her room. The next morning, my sister ran into my parents' room and woke me up yelling at me. She was yelling and asked why I would leave her alone in our room after she told me that she was scared. I yelled back at her that I told her I slept the whole night with mom and dad. My mom confirmed to her that she took me out of the room and my sister was not there. My sister's face got white, and then she told us what happened to her. After she got out of the bathroom, she went into our room and she got in bed and fell asleep. She woke up at 3:30 a.m. and couldn't move. She could
Okay.
hear footsteps heading to
Okay,
our room
buddy.
door. The door opened and there was a big tall shadow of what seemed like a man. It seemed to be our dad, and he had the habit of checking on us at night. But the strange thing was he wouldn't do it that late at night, and the shadow never flicked on the light. It just stood there.
Ain't gonna lie, me personally, as a dad, well, I ain't a dad, but as you know, what I'm saying, as a big brother, shit, I go check. I stay up all night, bro. I'm checking. Just make sure
She
everything's
began to
straight.
hear a weird noise, like a bull getting ready to charge from my window, and getting closer and closer to her ear until she could feel warm breath on her ear. She began to recite a prayer in her head until she could finally move. She mustered up the courage to jump off the bed and flick on the light, which was next to the doorway and the figure. When the light came on, the figure was gone, and she couldn't hear the noise anymore. She looked at my bed, and there was something that appeared to be me. She described it as looking exactly like me with a ponytail. My sister told the thing, what she thought was me, that she had just experienced something and that she was scared and that she wanted to go to my parents' room. The thing told her, "Don't worry, just go back to sleep." And after my sister questioned it, asking if I was sure, it said, "Just go back to bed." My sister was surprised since I scare easily, but then went back to her bed. She couldn't take it and woke up at 5 a.m. to go to my parents' room. She looked at my bed and got furious because I seemed to be gone. That's when she ran into my parents' room to wake me up. We exchanged stories and we all went back to the room. You can still see the markings on the wood floor from my bed being dragged. That night scared my sister and I for months, and it was the most memorable birthday I had as a kid.
That's crazy. I got ghosts, nigga.
The story takes place back in the 2000s. I was a little girl celebrating my friend's birthday. She always had a Halloween party to celebrate because that's when her birthday happened to be. She always talked about how her basement felt weird and
Yeah,
she didn't
devil,
like
baby.
staying down there alone.
Team
Well,
Scorpio.
having 10 or so 10-year-old girls sleep over on Halloween night isn't exactly bedroom material, so her mom and grandma set us up in the basement. There we played a bunch of games, and eventually, when some of us started to get tired, we brought out the Ouija board. A few of our friends were spooked, so they didn't want to participate. We asked innocent questions like kids usually do, such as who was the birthday girl going to marry, how old were we going to be when we had kids, and stuff like that. I remember I asked a question about myself, and the board replied, dead, which was weird. Some of the girls got spooked even more by that. Finally, a girl screamed and said that she saw something behind me in the mirror. We stopped using the board after that. For a few
What that
hours,
nigga
three
talking
of
about?
us, including the birthday girl and I, couldn't sleep.
I
We
don't
weren't
like
sure if
wearing
the board
TikToks
was
no
real
more.
or
I ain't
not,
gonna lie.
so we decided we'd try one more time while everyone else was asleep, thinking that since they didn't want to play, it'd be better that way also. It was close to 3 a.m., which we had heard was the witching hour. Remember here that we were about 10 or 11 years old, dumb, and had no idea what we were doing or who we were talking to. We asked the board if they could do something for us. We said at 3:15 a.m. to have the girl who saw something in the mirror earlier wake up and say something to us. It was over 15 years ago now, so I don't remember what we asked the girl to say. All I know is we asked her to look at the mirror and say it. 3:15 a.m. was about 20 minutes or so from when we asked the question. I remember us saying goodbye to the board and putting it away. The three of us were talking about how impossible our ask was when 3:15 a.m. hit. We knew it hit that time because their basement had a big grandfather clock that didn't ring anymore, but the clock function still worked. We were waiting, and right before the time changed to 3:16 a.m., it happened. The girl shot straight up out of her blankets and looked straight at the mirror with her eyes closed. She whispered what we asked her to say, then dropped to her pillow like nothing ever happened. We all just looked at each other, frozen. None of the other girls that were sleeping stirred. We were so freaked out that we didn't sleep until the sun came up. We
Damn.
got 3 hours of sleep tops that night. That was my first ever Ouija board experience, and it changed the way I viewed spirits forever. I still think about it and feel guilty that I basically asked for one of my friends to be possessed. Like I said, we were dumb kids. Even though it was a very scary birthday party experience, it at least taught us a lesson not to do dumb stuff like that.
Never sue the other driver after a car accident. There's a better way to get paid a way bigger check without.
That's tough. Stop playing with fucking Ouija boards. I don't know how many times I'm about to say this shit, but goddamn, man. Stop playing with Ouija boards. We gotta be for real. But these kids, so it's different. Man, even when I was a kid, 13? What I was doing at 13? Yeah, I was doing stupid shit too, I ain't gonna lie.
This happened years ago before my dad switched career paths when I
I
was
ain't gonna
about
lie.
6 or 7 years old. He used to manage a small time band that played at family events like birthday parties, weddings, and that kind of stuff. This one time, it was a family event birthday party. I don't remember whose, but that it was someone my parents knew. It was at a house in a quiet neighborhood, nothing fancy. Most of the adults were inside drinking and talking at this point. The band had finished playing outside. There was a bounce house set up in the backyard for the kids, but when I went in, no one else was around. I was bored and had nothing better to do. A few minutes later, a kid came in who looked younger than me. Right behind him, a man who seemed like his father appeared, but something about it was off. They didn't come through the house like everyone else. I saw the kid go over to the side gate and unlock it from inside to let his dad inside. At the time, I didn't think much of it because I was a kid. I just assumed maybe the kid's dad was late and didn't want to go through the front. The dad didn't say anything. He just walked behind the bounce house and stood where he could see inside through the mesh window, where he then pulled out his phone. The kid walked in the bounce house and looked at me and then looked at his dad. The dad nodded. Suddenly, the kid ran at me and tackled me hard. I didn't even have time to react. He pushed my face into the floor with one hand and started pulling at my pants with the other. His dad was filming. I don't know what exactly happened, but something kicked in. I got one arm free and swung back as hard as I could. I hit him in the face, and he fell off me. My pants had been pulled down a bit, but my underwear was still on normal. I yanked my pants up and bolted out of the bounce house.
This guy.
Straight through the back door and into the house where all the adults were. I didn't say anything. I couldn't really. I just stood there shaking. A few minutes later, I looked outside and saw the gate wide open. They were gone. I never saw either of them again. I didn't tell my parents that night. I don't know why. Maybe I just didn't know how. Years passed before I thought about it again. But last year, it came back to my memory.
Here we
And I
go.
wonder how many other kids did the father-son duo try that tactic on.
Here we
I'm
go.
glad I was able to fight the kid off me. I never fought anyone like that before.
Here we go with that.
But I
I
guess
didn't
I
tell
had
my
to leave
parents shit.
alone.
Y'all know I hate that shit.
As a teen, I was a die-hard theater kid. It was fall, and I was in a local community theater production a few cities away. I distinctly kept two groups of friends. There were my school friends and my theater friends. This was because my theater friends were majority religious, homeschooled, and sheltered kids who did theater to socialize. None of them went to school with me, and they lived in adjacent areas and traveled as I did to do community theater in this nearby city. To meet in the middle and hang out with my theater friends, my mom suggested that we have my birthday party with my theater friends after rehearsal. That way they didn't have to travel any extra. I suggested that we have a karaoke party because I love my karaoke machine, and I also innocently believed that any place that hosted karaoke nights would surely be welcoming to 15 teenagers singing show tunes. My mom, the chaperone of the century, found a seedy dive bar in the area that started karaoke early in the evening and served bar food. The night of my party, my friends and I obliviously bustled into this dive bar with my mom leading the pack. She ordered us a bunch of onion rings and fries, pushed some tables together, and my group of friends and I went about our business, hogging the songbook singing karaoke. At one point, I looked around. This bar must have been dead before we came in, because only a handful of people besides us were in the bar. There were a group of Marines, no doubt from the nearby military base. There were two older dudes who looked like regulars. Then in the only occupied booth in the corner, there was a person sitting alone, and something about him seemed strange. At first, I thought my suspicion was internalized judgment, because this person was a man in his 60s or 70s, and he was dressed in women's clothing. I'm unsure what he identified as, but for the story, I'm calling him a man. He was wearing black heels and pantyhose, a skirt and a jacket combo, a bob wig, pink lipstick, bright blush, and sunglasses. He was drinking dark liquor with an unsteady hand. As we figured out our skirt and a jacket combo, a bob wig, pink lipstick, bright blush, and sunglasses. He was drinking dark liquor with an unsteady hand. As we figured out our songs and settled in, my friend's eyes wandered around the room as well. My most sheltered friend Holly whispered to me asking why that man was dressed the way he was. I patiently explained what little I knew about trans people and cross-dressing, and besides my friend making obvious glances in his general direction, the subject was dropped. But shortly after we all sang a few songs, our streak of songs in a row was
Oh,
broken to welcome
people,
Carl
why
up to
they
the
play?
stage, the person from the booth
Oh,
in the corner.
people, why
I
they
remember
play?
looking at him making the short walk
Buddy,
to the
Roddy,
karaoke
buddy, buddy,
stage
what is
and thinking that I'd never seen something so
before
spaced out.
Roddy play?
His body was tense, knees locked, and though the eyes were covered by sunglasses, it was clear that his gaze was fixed far off. The intro music started to play for his song, and he started offbeat, far behind the music, with the breathiest, shakiest voice. He didn't look at the screen with the lyrics
What he
once,
was
but
saying?
used many words. Then he would realize he messed up and sigh into the microphone or curse to himself, only to return to the chorus, singing in lagged and shaky breaths. His anxiety was amped up as the song went by, and the tension spread throughout the room. It was obvious that watching him made everybody increasingly uncomfortable, as it made him uncomfortable as well. I was trying my best to smile and encourage my friends to clap along. Suddenly, mid-song, Carl began whispering the lyrics very quietly with his mouth right on the mic. Then his voice started breaking and he stopped singing. He returned the mic to the stand with the music still playing, wiped tears from his eyes under his sunglasses, and abruptly
Or
walked
just
off the
karaoke?
stage. He grabbed his black purse from the booth and left the bar in a hurry. It was unsettling, but after the initial feeling passed, we all
Bro, it's karaoke. You don't supposed to be what they how you call it? All American star, American Idol, something like that. I think it's American Idol. Bro, it's not American Idol. You supposed to do bad on karaoke. That's the whole point of it. That's the whole point. You supposed to do bad for people to laugh. That's the whole point of you going up there. I mean, you got some people that that try to be Whitney Houston and shit, but some people know how to actually sing.
sort of
And don't
shrugged
need to
and
be at no
laughed in
fucking
shared
karaoke bar.
awkwardness.
They need to
The party
be some other
continued.
deal, making a
My
deal.
party was the talk of the theater kid circuit for a few weeks. Going to a real bar with real strangers was all anyone wanted to talk about. 2 weeks went by, and it was now the week before the opening night of our show. We were going to rehearsal, and the street behind the theater was blocked off with police tape. My mom was volunteering that night and stuck around the theater during rehearsal. She was outside for a bit and ended up doing some investigating, and we asked a group of homeless locals what was going on down the street. Turns out someone had murdered and dismembered his wife. Neighbors reported a horrific smell, and the police had found parts of her in pans on the stove, which was found on, and her head in the freezer. Turned out that the Carl character we had seen in the dive bar was the one who murdered his wife. Apparently, Carl was his stage name. I'm not sure what his real name was, and he and his wife were well-known characters in the city. His wife had been seen welding knives and running around town in various stages of undress, and Carl was well known for his cross-dressing ways and prowling through the city at night. His mainstay favorite bar was, of course, the dive bar that we had my birthday party at. But the creepiest part was when the police discovered the crime scene. It had been a couple of weeks since the murder, and the body had been dead for a while. It was very possible that 2 weeks earlier we were listening to Carl singing karaoke after he had murdered his wife. Again, maybe the end yet, but that would explain why he looked so broken down and distraught at the dive bar the night of my birthday party.
Oh shit. What did I tell y'all? Yeah, everybody got there do right.
I can finally stop stressing about building credit. I stumbled on this game-changing credit building app, and I'm totally hooked. I'm actually
stop for that goddamn video get me in trouble. I ain't got time. And not today.
My friend and I had a conjoined birthday party at a water park because our birthdays were so close, and we had most of the same friends. The water park was a well-known place, so there was a lot of people there. It was going to be a 2-day weekend thing, with everyone staying in the hotel rooms that the water park resort offered. When we got there, everything was normal. We put our bathing suits on right away and headed down to the water park. We went down a few slides together, and then we were making our way down to the lazy river, and this man came up to us. He asked us if we had seen a girl with a pink bathing suit that looked to be around 6. We said no and left it alone, but me on the other hand freaked out that he lost his kid, so I kept thinking about it. We went to the lazy river and went around a few times, and just before we started getting bored, we decided to go to the hot tub. When we got to the hot tub, the same man that lost his kid was there also, still with no kid. We got in, and the guy was sitting on the complete other side of us. But then I noticed that he started coming closer to us, and eventually sat down next to us. He whispered to us, "Hey, do you want some weed or booze? I can get it for you." None of us really responded other than saying the quiet refusals. I motioned to the rest of my friends that we needed to get out of the hot tub because the guy was being creepy. As we got up and left, he tried to get one of my friends to stay by grabbing her leg. We immediately went to tell the lifeguard, but the lifeguard didn't seem to care, so we ran to tell our parents, and one of my friends turned around and saw him following us. We told our parents, and they called the police because the security at the water park was horrible, and they said that he wouldn't even have to be removed from the park. Us girls tried to go back to our room, but
he must like doing the same shit. Boy, I ain't gonna lie. If I have a daughter, she tell me this some shit like that. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna tell my wife, call the police. I'm finna go beat the nigga ass.
the man still followed us. So our parents flipped the script on him and stood watching him and followed him around everywhere. Us girls were not there anymore at that point, but our parents followed the creep back to his room, and soon after, the police showed up. Hours later, we found out that his daughter was in the room the whole time. He had drugged her, and she was unconscious, so the ambulance showed up and took her away from him. He was arrested and lost custody of her. I don't know much about the whole story other than that, but he ended up on the news, and we got a refund. The water park really didn't do much, and I'm glad that the police were called. Otherwise, his daughter may have been in way worse shape.
Well, some of these stories were kind of yeah, some of these stories were kind of creepy. I ain't gonna lie. Some of these stories was kind of creepy, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. What? That's tough, man. But nighttime spooks, man, you do your thing. This story was crazy. Um, don't stay at people too long. Don't make it shit awkward, cause you never know what they did before they got there, or the night before, or two days before. They could be on the killing rampage, and you just pissed them off or keep staring at them. They gonna come, you know what I'm saying, do something to you. So don't be doing all that, man. You see something weird, just mind your business. Pay attention to your surroundings, but mind your business. That being said, stay safe, stay dangerous. Hit my social media. If y'all want requested videos, you know what I'm saying, any personal request, you know what I'm saying. If you got some music that want, you know what I'm saying, you want me to react to, it's gonna be a feat. Um, but also, I got a second channel in the description down below that's only music videos. You know what I'm saying, anything dealing with music. See y'all when I see y'all. Love y'all. Be safe on a good Saturday, man. Y'all stay safe, stay dangerous, stay humble, stay out the way. Let's ride, nigga.